Hello guys and welcome back to my channel for another episode of Hood Gaming's Tactic Tester. In today's episode we have FM Stinger, the first fellow content creator making his debut in the Tactic Tester, bringing us his 3-5-2 that won him the treble with Inter Milan during the beta period. This is a fantastic start. Fantastic formation for us to start with. So let's get into the rules just to remind you guys what we're all up against. Okay then guys, so to start things off, I'm going to give you a quick rundown again of the rules for the Tactic Tester. All tactics must have a proven record of success and achievement, which I will get into very shortly. All tactics will use the same team and fixtures for the test. In this case, it will be Arsenal and we will be running a sim of the Premier League. No transfers will be allowed to be made in either transfer window. Tactics will be loaded in and the whole season will be simulated in one go, and all points, wins, goals scored and win percentage will be collected and displayed at the end to find out the best tactic out there. Okay then guys, so before we go any further, I just wanted to recap what happened in last week's episode. I set the benchmark. It's a decent benchmark. I'm actually quite happy with it, with our 4-2-3-1 tactic that we used in the beta period with Barcelona. Now obviously it won us a quadruple with Barcelona, but I wasn't 100% sure if that is just because we were Barcelona. We managed to pick up one trophy. It was the Community Shield. It was a little bit of a cheap trophy because they're automatically qualified for it, but I'm still going to count it. We finished second in the Premier League with a total of 84 points. We scored a grand total of 119 goals in all competitions and conceded just 46. We have an average goals per game of 2.20 and a win ratio of 66.66%. Now, whilst I think this is a decent benchmark, there will be people out there who will beat this. Obviously, I think the tactic would be more successful if you were to just play every game rather than simulate the whole season. You never know what happens with injuries and such. So without any further ado, let's get into FM Stinger's 3-5-2 tactic. So then guys, to start off with, we are going to recap what FM Stinger managed to achieve with this tactic during the beta period. He took over Inter Milan, and as you can see from the visuals on the screen kindly provided by the man himself, I'm going to leave a card to his channel. Make sure you go and check him out and subscribe to him. He is bringing some fantastic content. Just some of the stuff that he's done has already made me a better Football Manager player, so I definitely know he can do the same for you guys, so make sure you go over there and subscribe to his channel. You can see here though, he managed to pick up the Serie A title with Inter Milan, beating Juventus to it by just the 1 point. He secured a extra time victory over Atalanta, which is another tough team in the Italian Cup final, and he also managed to win the Champions League final with a 2-1 victory in extra time against Manchester City. So what is the tactic, you ask? We have jumped in game and I can show you the tactic. We load into the tactics and we pull in his tactic titled the Yes Lock. Again, I'm not going to go into immense detail with this. I want the content creators to be able to go in and do and basically showcase their own tactics. So there is Stinger's already done a video on this tactic, which I will leave as the one of the first links in the description. So make sure you go and check that out for more details on why he set up this tactic and why he feels it will work. Basic run through though: goalkeeper playing as a goalkeeper, not a sweeper keeper. 3 defenders, halfback, an attacking midfielder on the right hand side, box to box midfielder on support, advanced playmaker on attack, a defensive winger on the left hand side, a false 9 and a target man. Now whilst this was specifically constructed for Inter Milan, I don't necessarily know how well this is going to work with Arsenal. 3 at the back for Arsenal could be questionable. However, I think the halfback may be able to slot in. I don't necessarily think they have the perfect set of players for this, whereas I definitely did in my 4-2-3-1. We will do a quick pick from Steve Round, the assistant, just to see what he is putting in at the moment. And this is what the team would look like on the start of the season. So he's got Leno in goal, Holding, David Luiz and Gabriel as the 3 centre-backs. Thomas Partey actually listed as a half-back, which is very interesting. I thought that would be much more of Xhaka's role. Willian on the right hand side, Xhaka, Ceballos and Saka make up the midfield as is, and then obviously Aubameyang and Lacazette up top. I think this is a good team, but then obviously They do have some options off the bench. You won't see Bellerin or Kieran Tierney get a great deal of time, although I think Kieran Tierney could probably do a really nice job in that defensive winger spot on the left-hand side. Obviously, you've got Pepe, not necessarily a right midfielder, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. They do have some options as well, but it will be interesting to see how they get on. Obviously, I'll just run you through the schedule as we have done previously. The season starts relatively nicely, to be perfectly honest, and then sort of picks up in and around December. December's a tough month. You play Manchester City basically back-to-back at Christmas, along with games against Everton, Chelsea and Tottenham. Very, very tough month in December. You also have Liverpool smattered in here, and then a pretty tough 3 fixtures to close the season out, taking on Everton, Chelsea, and then Manchester United. So without any further ado, guys, I will bang through this simulation and I'll be back and we can go through it and see how Stinger's tactic got on. Okay then, guys, we are back at the end of the season, and just from the homepage you can see that Arsenal finished in 4th place in the Premier League, which is better than where they are expected to finish. Top player stats then: Lacazette top in the goal scoring charts, Rob Holding with the highest average rating, which is very interesting, Willian coming in with 13 assists, best pass completion of David Luiz with 96%. Player of the match is shared around 4 different players, is that? 5 different players, all picking up 4 each. Most yellow cards, David Luiz, no surprise there. Most red cards, Granit Xhaka, also no surprise there. So we'll open up the competitions thing just to see how they got on. So they finished in 4th in the Premier League, as we said. Lacazette coming in with 19 goals in the Premier League. I think that's pretty solid return for Lacazette. In the Europa League, they were knocked out in the first knockout round by Roma. Not necessarily the best. Be interesting to see the breakdown of how those fixtures went. Knocked out in the 3rd round, the FA Cup by Middlesbrough. That's a disappointment, but having looked at the top goal scorer, it looks like the team was rotated. As this guy scored the goal. Interesting. We'll take a look at that one as well. Carabao Cup knocked out in the quarterfinals by Manchester City. No shame there. And was runners-up in the Community Shield. So we'll jump into the schedule first and foremost, and we'll take a look at how things got on. So losing the Community Shield 4-2 to Liverpool. Aubameyang and Lacazette on the score sheet in that one early doors. What actually happened? So Jordan Henderson scores. Lacazette equalises. Mane scores again. And then Salah 2 goals inside 3 minutes, and then that's basically all she wrote. Season started superbly though. 4 wins on the spin here without conceding a goal, beating Sheffield United, beating Fulham, beating Spurs in the Carabao Cup, beating Derby in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. I wonder what happened to the Premier League fixtures in between these. How very strange. Anyway, lost to Leicester in the Premier League. Not the best, not the worst result. I guess it is kind of frustrating being at home, and then look at this run that they put together here. This is a fantastic run. Beating Leeds, winning the Europa League, beating Southampton, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Ludogorets, drawn with Spurs, beating Villa, Ludogorets, Lokomotiv Zagreb, I don't know who that is, but that's in the Europa League. Nice little run of games here, absolutely powered through them. Then December sort of started to take a turn, lost away to Everton, who had a hat-trick from Vinicius Jr. Okay, fine. Obviously, you have to take into account all the other transfers and stuff that did happen during this period of time. So beat Spurs, that's a good result. Beat Burnley again. 3 games in a row within 5 days of each other against Manchester City. It's a tough period. Carabao Cup quarter-final, lost the first one 2-0. Xhaka getting sent off after 25 minutes, not great. Drew 1-1 at home in the Premier League before going to the Etihad and Ruben Diaz scoring the winner in the 65th minute there. Powering through. So then they played Middlesbrough. This is the one I want to check. Leno, Maitland-Niles, Holding, Gabriel Klasnach, David Luiz. Looks like David Luiz is playing CDM or the half-back role. Xhaka, Partey, Aubameyang, Ceballos. I mean, it's not the worst team, but it's definitely not their best team by any stretch. This is where the wheels kind of fell off a little bit for them. Tough month here in February, not picking up a win. 1-1 away at Wolves, I don't actually think is a bad result. They lost 2-0 to Manchester United, who I believe won the Premier League this year. 0-0 against Sheffield United, then 0-0 away at Roma. It's not actually a bad result. This is a bad result, losing 3-1 to West Ham, but it happened in my simulation as well. We lost to West Ham away. And then Oh, Xhaka doing them dirty here. Getting sent off in the 50th minute. Wow. Okay, that's Granit Xhaka's basically cost them a decent run in the Europa League. Power forward then, getting things back on track in the Premier League here. Nice little month. 3-3 draw with Liverpool's not too bad either. Rescued that late. Eddie Nketiah and Granit Xhaka on the score sheet there. Solid April again. Disappointing loss to Liverpool there, losing 2-1. Mane scoring the goal in the 90th minute, and then finishing the season losing to Chelsea and losing to Manchester United. Manchester United getting a penalty. Who'd have thought, hey? So, all in all, I think the tactic's done pretty well. What I will say is this tactic was created for a completely different team, and we're just plugging it in just to see how it gets on with Arsenal. I think also there's a couple of variables of if you're in control of the team yourself, I think that makes a massive difference, and I think this tactic would have done infinitely better. So if we go into the team report, this is something that you guys asked in the comments from last episode. You wanted to take a look at some of the more detailed stats and how they got on, basically. So if we open up the scoring charts here, you can see that Arsenal have a decent amount of shots per game. They're quite aggressive, and they're also quite clinical, which I think is a nice area to be in. We managed more shots per game than the average team, and we were more clinical than the average team, which is good to see. And if we go into the defensive stats, guys, you can see here, they don't really shift a lot of the goals. They're quiet, and they are relatively impenetrable. We face fewer shots per game than average and concede fewer goals than would be expected from the number of shots that they face. So it shows that the defence, even though there was only 3 of them, and even though it was Arsenal's defence, actually did do a very good job. Now, this is what I'm going to find interesting. How did they get on in terms of what formations they played? In their previous 25 matches, Arsenal faced 13 different formations. Their most commonly faced tactic was a 4-2-3-1 wide, which they played against for 689 out of 2,342 minutes. Now that, my friends, is a lot. And as you can see here, we faced 13, or this Arsenal team faced 13 teams that played 4-2-3-1 wide, my personal formation. And Arsenal, this formation is absolutely tearing it apart in terms of +9 chances created for and against. So, whilst this may not necessarily be the best formation that you could run day in, day out, depending on personnel and stuff, I think this is very well suited for Inter Milan, maybe not so much for Arsenal. But in terms of playing a 4-2-3-1, guys, I think this is a great way to go. They also took on a 4-4-2 a decent amount of times as well, come up against a 4-4-2 7 times this season, and have a +13 in terms of clear-cut chances for and against, with a chance created every 28 minutes. How often was a chance created? Every 37 minutes against a 4-2-3-1, which again, I think you will come up against a lot in this year's game. So then, guys, to wrap this video up, we will see where Stinger falls on the table. And as you can see, I'm basically going to sort this by win ratio or win percentage. So as you can see here, in second place, Stinger is there with his 352. 0 trophies won, finished 4th in the Premier League, which again is no real bad shot. I think that's a really good result with Arsenal. 69 total points, 100 goals scored, 48 goals conceded, average goals per game of 1.96, and a win percentage of 54.9%. Again, as I said, if you're in charge of the teams yourself, I think you'll do infinitely better than this. But again, this is all what the fun's about, isn't it? So hopefully next week we will have a different content creator in here, and we can see how they get on in my tactic tester. But guys, that is where I'm going to leave it for today. If you have enjoyed this tactic tester and finding a different formation and maybe the killer of a 4-2-3-1, drop a like on the video and subscribe for daily Football Manager content videos. I'll be back very soon with another video. Hopefully I'll catch you guys there.